This is my 200-pound, 15-amp, over 5-foot wide Delta Contractor saw. I've owned it for 2 years, and today I'm going to review it for you. This Delta has a close competitor made by Ridgid. That saw has a 13-amp motor. If you have any experience with that Ridgid saw, post in the comments and let us know what you think of it. Whether you're trying to decide to upgrade from a smaller job site saw, or this would be your first saw for woodworking, I'm going to try and help you make the right decision on whether or not this saw is the right one for you. So let's run around the bottom here and we'll see what we got going on. You've got obviously your switch on, off, which is great actually. I love these switches because you can bump them with your leg. This also has a way to padlock. So if you're gonna put this in a school, you got a way to lock it down so it cannot be turned on. This is your height. It has a locking knob, which feels like cheap plastic. But 2 years fiddling with this knob and doesn't show any wear, no problems. This is down, this is up. It has this, which fell off yesterday when I was getting ready to make this video. And that's where that belongs. Got a few things going on this side. You got your tilt knob with the same locking. This knob threaded to a stud, you got your wrench, and you can store a lot of blades. It's actually, the stud's pretty long, so you can probably get a lot of blades on there. You got your safety stuff. There's a kickback pawl that's behind here that locks. You got your blade guard. It also comes with wheels in the back. You get 2 wheels in the back, and you get 1 caster on this side. And it works good enough, but if your floor is uneven or you have big expansion seams in the floor, it gets stuck, and it's a little bit of a pain to move. It's better than no wheels. And you've got your dust port. 2.5-inch dust port. I use an adapter. I bought it on Amazon. I'll throw a link in the bottom for you. It works fine. Is it awesome? It's not awesome. There's nothing built into this saw to hold the power cord. I usually just slide it in here. It doesn't pinch the cord. You also have a place to put the fence if you're not using the fence. And that's really handy, because otherwise I'd be balancing the fence on whatever toolbox or something I have in here and risking it falling over and getting dented and causing me trouble. So this is a nice touch. To reinstall the fence, it just slides on from the side. So this factory throat plate is supported by these screws here. You got 2 in the front, 2 towards the back, and 1 all the way in the back. There is none here. And with this throat plate, that's part of the problem. This will come down, and the wood gets caught right here on this lip. I figured that out really fast, and I went on Etsy, and I bought these MDF CNC throat plates. They come from this company. They make a pretty good product, and they were reasonably priced. So it has these little plastic parts on here. I think they're plastic. If you know what this is for, leave me a comment down below, because I've always just kind of been curious why that's on there and what it's used for. The scales on this fence, this is for the left side. This is for this side, the right side. Very simple. Loosen these screws just a little bit. You can slide this gauge back and forth, and you can calibrate this ruler, which works great. Once it's calibrated, you can actually rely on it. My old small job site saw, I never used this once. Now, this is what I rely on. On the right side of the blade, you get 30.5 inches rip. On the left side, you get 15.5. So let's talk about one of the best things about this saw first, and then we'll get on to something that's not the best. This fence system is crazy good for the price point of this saw. You can see I got this as crooked as it'll go. As soon as I push down on that lever, it snaps straight. I mean, really straight. It locks down. You literally cannot move it. The Ryobi job site saw that this replaced, I would have to lock it down. It had 2 contact points, and then I would take a tape measure, and I would measure front and back on the blade, and I would bump it while it was still locked, and I would bump it and bump it until I got it straight. And then when I was using it, if I was rough with it, it would move. This has never moved once. Rock solid. It comes with this little flip down fence. If you're doing very thin stock, you can use this little fence. I've never used it. I don't know if it needs an adjustment, but it doesn't sit completely flat. I don't know if that would be an issue or not. But just so you're aware, it's there. You got your contact points, side to side. And you have this contact point. And this is on a cam. And as you lift it, all it does is squeezes this bar right here. It's as simple a design as you could possibly make, and that's what makes it so reliable. This is one of the best parts about this saw. On the back side, here's your contact point. You got a slider. I don't know what this is, probably nylon of some sort. It's plastic, but it works fine. And it's nice and thick. You got a lot of space before the screws, so this is what holds it on the back. It looks flimsy, but it holds tight. And looking at it, I wouldn't think it would be very stout, but it's given me zero trouble, zero. Now let's get to the part of the review where we decide who this is really for. So these stamped steel wings, these extensions on this table saw are not flat. Not by a long shot, actually. For the guy who is rebuilding the front stairs on the front of his house, like this saw did last summer, for me, I don't care. I don't care if it's off a few thousandths. It makes no difference to me. You won't see it in the projects I normally do. But if you were going to try and build yourself, you know, an armoire, a sideboard, is this going to affect your work? And I would say probably yes. It is a great place to start if you are on a limited budget. If you're starting woodworking, this saw might be more accurate than you. It's probably more accurate than me at this stage in my adventure in woodworking and projects. But if you're really looking for a premium table saw, this will leave you lacking a little bit. You can see the fence rubs on this wing. It rubs all the way across. It's taking the paint off the edges. It's taking the paint off the edges on this corner right here. Before my last build video, I took this one back apart and tried to level it again because I could hear the fence hit it in this corner, and I still couldn't get it. Still, I might have actually made it worse. So this is a problem. Eventually, like a lot of people do with these saws, I will put a router table here. I'll probably make it out of MDF. And at least this side will be not a big deal, or I will eliminate that issue with this side. You could probably do it with this side too, but this is what you get out of the box. This is the saw you pay $680 for, instead of $1,200 or $1,500 for a premium quality saw that has cast and machine wings that are expectedly as flat as the table itself. So this table is not 100% flat, but it's pretty close. These wings, not flat at all. I checked, they do not make cast iron wings for this saw, because I would probably buy them, because everything else about this saw, except for a few small nitpicks like dust extraction, I love this saw. And it works great for me. There's an advantage to being able to go to the store and just purchase an item and bring it home and put it together and use it right on the spot, same day, no fooling around. I didn't have to truck freight this. I didn't have to take half a day of work to meet a semi with a lift gate and get my big Laguna off the truck. I went to Lowe's and bought it like I would buy drill bits. Let me show you just how flat this is. This is where I'm at, so this is what I'll show you. This should just give you an illustration. This is the front left corner. There's paint missing from the corner here, and that's what we got. Here's the right side corner. Paint missing. Right side wing, you get a drag mark and paint missing in the corner, and you can just hear it. It's totally hitting this corner, and I cannot get it to stop doing that. The motor in the saw is very strong. I've done wide dados through hardwood. I've done wide dados through treated wood, I have never heard this saw sound labored or struggle. The previous generation was convertible from 110 to 220. This saw isn't, it's just 110. But for my needs, I don't see any reason why I would switch it. That brings us to blades. To change a blade, lift it all the way up. This red button here, press that down and hold it. Slowly turn your blade until it hits that flat spot. Use the cheap stamped steel wrench it comes with. It works totally fine. Punch a nut. Riving knife. To remove the riving knife is this lever here. Flip it up. Riving knife comes right out. This is also your attachment point for your kickback pawl and for your blade guard. Blade comes out. An important note, go buy yourself a magnet on a stick if you don't have one, because this nut almost always ends up down there and it's hard to get it out of there, and you'll need something to grab it with. Dust port is down in the back of this encasement here, and that nut, if your dust extractor is on, will get sucked right through the hose and end up in the hose somewhere, and you'll have to take the hose off and find it. Saw this size can take a full 13/16 dado stack. You can do rabbets, you can do dados. It is a big advantage. And not just for furniture making or fine woodworking, for building stairs. I find a use for this all the time. Go buy a magnet. Blade goes on the same way. Riving knife fits in, locks down with the lever. That's it. So does the blade stay straight when you lower it and lift it? I don't know, I say, because I have never checked. So we're up to the miter gauge. All metal. It's pretty hefty. Feels nice for an included piece. So it's got 3 adjusting points. 1, 2, 3. It's all steel. It's a steel bar. A little patience, you can get it pretty tight. So as I go to check the detents, the detents are loose. I tightened it right on 90. That arrow, I don't know how well you can see that. That arrow is right on 90. It's nice they put 1 screw offset, so at 90 you can tighten these down. So let's see how accurate it is. Dead on. Yeah. Dead on. It does move nice and smooth. This is plastic, the rest of it's metal. The detent, very positive. Is dead accurate. So if you're like me, when I started this, and you've been using a $110 Ryobi job site saw for the last 20 years, just like I did, go warm up the car, because if Lowe's has this in stock, you're gonna have a great day. For the rest of you, there's some pros, there's some cons. For me, the pros far outweigh the cons. And it's definitely something you should consider. If you have $1,200, $1,500, $2,500, $3,100 to go and buy a SawStop or a Powermatic or a Laguna, you're probably going to be happier with that. But for 680 bucks for something you can get down the street today, I don't think it really has an equal. The Ridgid had some bad press to begin with, which was part of the reason I bought this. And I hadn't realized they'd already resolved that stuff before I would have bought this. Goes to show you what online reviews can do for sales. Would I buy this again? 100% yes. Will I probably replace it in the future when, you know, my needs change, or I want more accuracy, or I want to start building furniture because I'm retired and need something to do? I probably will replace it, but it's got a good home here for now, and I'm very happy with it. I hope this review helped you. If you have any questions, you can post them in the comments and I'll be happy to personally respond to them. If you have questions about dimensions or anything about this saw that I can help you with, just hit me up. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you want to see a video about a table saw sled that I built with this saw to use on this saw, then you can click the link wherever it is, and I'll see you in the next video.